Bury me under the moral high ground I can't seem to find today. I can hear the architects of fear's construction laughing somewhere between the greed and weapons of mass destruction.
So tell me what happened, sort of in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, my husband worked for the Corps of Engineers, and he is this real stickler about taking care of business, paying the bills. You know, he had a house of his own that he'd worked all his life for to build it up. He had a little piece of property next to it. We're on a nice little corner in Saraland there. So anyways, but he worked for the Corps of Engineers, and he was on a boat 4 days a week, 10 hours a day, and most of the time they would sleep on the boat. You know, after that BP oil spill out there, and they had that, I can't remember the name of it right off, but they had that big boat that did all this cleanup, and they brought it back here to Mobile, and they put it in those big vat things down there in the bay, and for about 6-8 months or so, his boat was parked over there next door to that thing. And man, I went down, I had him get a little boat, and we went down the river, and I had to have him turn around and come back because I got sick from the smell of it. And,
so it's filled with all this oil stuff, and they just brought it and parked it here?
They brought it back. They were cleaning it up and apparently emptying it into these things there. And that he was parked for all these months right next to that. He started to get sick.
They're doing boat repairs, so they kept the guys on the job, kept them on the boat.
Oh, and then around this toxic.
So while they're sitting there on the dry dock waiting for their boat to get repaired, and this made me crazy because this is our federal government blowing money on their paychecks when they could have been placed somewhere else to be working, not sitting on this damn boat over there in dry dock for 10 hours a day, 4 days a week, and collecting a paycheck to be eating shrimp and eating whatever, you know.
Who was collecting the paycheck?
All the guys on the boat.
They didn't take them out of work. They just stuck them in dry dock while the boat was getting worked on.
I mean, granted, he's my husband, and I'm
so it's filled up with all this toxic waste.
The boat next door is, and man, you get near that thing, it smells horrible.
Which is the boat that had the employees on it that was being worked on?
They were on the dry dock.
Whose was it, though?
Boat. It's a Corps of Engineer boat.
Oh, the Corps of Engineer.
And there was also another one there that had been there about a year. Okay, now all these guys are parked next to
Is the Corps of Engineers the government?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, the Army Corps of Engineers.
So your husband was a government employee.
He was also a Mason, and we had a lot of problem with that when he get drunk because I Facebooked a lot of information, and he opened his Facebook up on the boat computer, on the government computer one time, and he flipped right out. For months he couldn't get on the computer. He had to re-get his federal ID badge to get in the gates to get to the boat and stuff. Because
were you putting stuff out about what was happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Occupy and the federal government, the Fed. The lawyer's office that did his divorce before, they had done a fraud. Apparently it was all pinned on the secretary in there, but it seems kind of fishy that she did over $250,000 worth of embezzlement from the asbestos victims' families that were to get money from this lawsuit.
What was the name of the law firm, do you remember?
Johnny Lane. Johnny M. Lane.
So they were working with asbestos victims, supposedly.
Yeah, and they had a bunch of them, and there was money that was put into an account. There was also money from the lawyer, supposedly, that he got, which I don't see how that could have got in his account at his office. But when Katrina hit, he had damage to his home, and he got money for that, and that seems awful fishy that that would go into his account at work. But she supposedly embezzled that, too. She got caught. Well,
oh, he's saying the money he got from Katrina for his house went to the business? So he claimed that loss?
Because this is how it turns out. The secretary that worked in there, and I heard rumor that there was another secretary at the time that had warned him what she was doing, and he fired that woman. Not the one that was doing it, but the one who told him. So, but I can't say that for sure. But anyways, his secretary had made a false document and supposedly made her gave her, what do you call that, the right to do business for him, get into, like say somebody gets older and you
like a power of attorney.
That's it. So she had the power of attorney done supposedly falsely, and was removing money from his account for her own purposes. And apparently it turns out from the insurance lady who worked next to her that knew her, said it was for drugs. But I don't know, the smile on her face.
So this is the guy that did the divorce for your ex-husband. And what year would this have been?
This was in 2006. He thinks he's divorced, okay? And he has a final decree of divorce from that lady. So apparently she fraudulently created this and gave it to him. Now we got together, we got married, and
what year did you get married?
We got married in 2009, but I was living there with him since 2007. Even though we got his divorce, and it was supposedly final on the 10th of June, and for 60 days after that he couldn't marry someone else, although we were already married. It should have made our marriage okay. On the 20th.
What date did he die? August
13th. Okay, now on June 10th, his other divorce was final. He had to wait for her to get convicted. He had to go through posting notice because he didn't know where his ex-wife was anymore. And then he had to go to court and file in court, and then wait 60 days supposedly for our marriage to be okay. And he died. But there was 2 days that would have been good for the final, because I saw these papers, my lawyer flashed it to me, and it said final decree of divorce the 10th. And then on the 19th of July, or June, it said there was a clerical error in the court, because I went down with him. He was angry as hell one day. We drove down to Johnny Lane's law office, and I said, why the hell are you using the same lawyer's office? But he did, because his daddy used to use it. But anyway, Southerners, it's a kind of thing down here. But so he trusted this. But anyways, he says, I don't want to have to pay for this divorce again. So according to Alabama law, like in New York and in Maine, I was a notary public. In Maine, I married people. Okay, now there was laws to protect. Say I pretended I was a notary and I married a couple. There was laws to protect that couple.
Tell me about your husband's death. What did they put on the certificate?
He went to work, and they said it was like a massive heart attack. I got his death certificate in the car.
Okay, maybe. How old was he?
62.
So he had a massive heart attack. He went to work that morning?
He went to work Sunday night. And my grandson, his grandson, was hard to talk about.
Still your grandson?
Yeah, well, he still calls me. I love him anyway. But anyways, he had a summer job with him. He's trying to get into college now, and I was going to try to help him, but she took that away. But and she took the car that he was promised by my husband to. She took that away too. But she took my car away. But they went to work that Sunday night. He called me. We talked for a while. I had to go put my phone in to charge. He texted me, I love you forever, baby, and I never heard from him again. And I made this statement because, when somebody says to you, how you doing? I go, oh, contrary to popular belief, I'm still alive. That was like a joke I always said. And I picked up the phone and I said, see his last text, and I hadn't heard from him in a few hours, and I said, oh, I see you're still alive. I love you forever too, baby. And he wasn't. Sorry. But anyways, I get in court and they're screaming, you're not his wife. And I'm like, yes, I was. And, and her lawyer, he was a real jerk. And then they wanted to go do inventory, so I took all my stuff and left the house before I was supposed to be out, because they're not going to inventory my stuff. She already made comments that I can't even have my stuff that I came with. I can't have my stuff that he had bought me, because I got a tiller for Christmas. And it was a funny present, but that's my favorite thing. Yeah. So then I couldn't really tell because I kept smelling gas, and I went to church, and the next day, and I come back 3 hours later, and the dog is out. I had put her out in the yard, and she looked like she died right after I had left because she was stiff. And I was told rigor mortis sets in about 2 to 3 hours after, and she was already just as stiff as a board, and I had to take her out and bury her. And I asked that guy to come and help me bury her. And then...
she died in the house?
Yeah, no, she died when I took her out of the house. I thought, I was feeling bad, and I thought, well, it must have been from the gas, but I take the dog out, and I thought, geez, I put her on the leash to take her out, because she usually pulls real hard, and I was like, wow, the dog is as tired as I am today, I thought she
So there was a
lethargic.
gas leak in the house? The gas was leaking?
Furnace, yeah. And I thought when he had turned all that off that it was over with, but I went to the emergency room and had my blood gases checked, which really hurts. And they did x-rays, and they said I had something called hyperventilation syndrome. I didn't have enough oxygen in my lungs. That's why I wasn't being able to make good decisions. I was dropping things. I was getting headaches, sick to my stomach, throwing up and stuff, and I thought it was something else. And that's probably why the dog died.
Did somebody deliberately do the...
Well, that's what I got to thinking, because after he shut that off, they told me that, because I said, I smell gas everywhere I go now. And they said that'll go away as it starts to clear out of my system. And then for a few days I didn't smell gas. And then I started to smell gas again. Mm-hmm. Somebody had been getting into the house. I got real nervous after the gas leak.
So this is all fairly recent. So what happened with the house? Why did you move out?
Okay, well, then after that, I started smelling gas again. And I don't want to say anything because now I sound like I'm crazy, at this point. I have people breaking into my house but not showing any signs. And the only thing I know is when I was at her friend fella there, I was at his mom's house. I let him take the key and go down and look at the furnace and try to fix it, And he, when I came out of her house having coffee with her, I sat there about an hour. I came out, I see his buddy driving away. And all he had to do was hand him that key, run down around the corner, get another key made. When he came to visit me after that, some of his stuff was missing out of the house, and he only had just so much with him. And I wasn't home that day, and he sat there and waited for me.
And what are you being served papers for?
To go to court the following day at 3 in the afternoon because Angela had made herself executor, even though the death certificate wasn't out yet. Then I get into court, and I don't even know until I fired my lawyer after all this, about a month later, that Aunt Joyce from Joyce and Sparky had sent a letter, because I had put on, I was all upset. It mistypes sometimes on my slide keyboard, so it looked kind of stupid, but I was trying to talk about how Angie had tried to kill me, how I believe she gassed me, and the dog died. Wait for a continuance. I had less than 24 hours to go to court for my whole life, never losing everything. Her judge, or her lawyer, was this nursing home specialist lawyer. So I'm kind of thinking this guy is used to ripping off old ladies and such, but he's part of the Good Old Boys Network from Alabama State and all. And he was up there joking and telling stories with the judge while my lawyer's sitting there, this kid, he's reading the stuff, and he never even shows it to me, so I don't know what's going on. And then I get called up on the stand several times, and I'm the only one persecuted on the stand, and they don't have to go up and say anything, He still waits another week or two, a couple of weeks, he writes up a 3-page brief of why I'm not his wife. But
you sold your car.
I sold my 2 vans and my camper, and because he put it in his name to put it on the insurance, she took that also.
So what do you have right now?
I have what she's probably trying to fight me for as my personal stuff that I took from the home, and my tiller and my generator that I asked him to buy me because he was gone all the time.
Do you have any income?
No, I don't. Monday I'm going to court about this harassing communications, and the magistrate changed it to family abuse type thing, only now she's changed it so we're not family, so I don't know what's going to happen Monday.
What's that? What's that for?
For her calling me, threatening to kill me
and
stuff.
You should...
And I played it in court, too.
Everybody believed you gone. We couldn't get that fucking lucky for you to be gone. But you know what? Keep it up. It will make you be gone. Either tomorrow, wipe your ass out. I'll put a little willy in your ass. Bye-bye.
We can't be that lucky, but I'll make you gone from this world. Listen to it enough for you to tell it. And wipe your ass out. In fact, I'll sick little Willie on your ass. Ha, she says. But little Willie is her brother who was in prison. And I don't know how many times I've gone back in the utility room with the washers and watched my husband cry and because he's upset about how his kids are. He just got out of prison for 10 years for beating some woman up and apparently some type of sexual thing.
So what's your plan of action now? Or do you have one?
I want my status as my husband's wife back again, but...
Well, we gotta give you some help. It sounds like it's crazy.
Bury me under the moral high ground I can't seem to find today.